My name is Sean Fouch, and thanks for checking in. I want to do a few things different this season. I want to try some different content, so this is an example of that. So what I'm going to cover today is a little bit of a quick recap of the 2022-23 Hare Scramble season for me, the upcoming 23-24 season, as well as acknowledgement of several of my sponsors, new and returning sponsors for this season. So let's jump right in. 2022-23 season was my first season back after about 4 years. Well, why 4 years? Well, I had a couple of races in between there, but in late 2018, I had to have rotator cuff surgery, and then about April or May of 19, my mother got diagnosed with cancer. So that kind of threw everything kind of crazy for me. So long story short, my mom lost her battle with cancer in February of 21. I lost my dog Candy, 14 plus years, in March, middle of March of 22, and then I lost my father at the end of March of 22. So very, very tough times. I spent a couple of years actually living with my parents, taking care of both of them. So that's the reason I was out of the racing for a while. I'm back into it. I restarted again last year. Racing is very therapeutic for me, so it was important for me to get beyond my loss and move on with life. And it's something my mom and dad would have supported as well. So yeah, got back into racing. So I had high aspirations for coming back. They kind of got dampened right off the beginning because with the hurricane and readjusting of the schedules, I wasn't able to attend the first event. The first event happened to fall on the weekend that we had a celebration of life scheduled for my parents. So I had a lot of family and friends and acquaintances in. We spent the whole weekend recognizing the accomplishments of my mom and my dad and reflecting back on how much they meant to us. So anyway, then the second race of the season I wasn't able to attend because I was coming back from the Enduro in Alabama. I don't really race Enduros, I just kind of ride them for fun because it's just a fun trail ride. So I get a call from my middle son, Kyler. Some of you that have known me for a while, and when I first got in with FTR, got to meet Kyler. Anyway, he's a grown man now. He's graduated from Rice. He's living in Houston. So I got a call from him on a Monday morning, which is very unusual, and he said, "Dad," and I was like, "Oh, I knew something was up." He said, "Yeah, I hurt my back." So I finished my drive, get back from Alabama, immediately get on a flight for Spirit, fly out there, and long story short, he had herniated his disc in his lower back. He was squatting some ungodly amount of weight. Kyler has really grown to be a big guy. He's 6'2" and a half. It looks like an NFL tight end. Anyway, so I spent 10 days out there with him, literally getting him back on his feet. Doctor's appointments, therapy, and so on and so forth. He's all good now. He's being careful now with his back. But anyway, so leads me to the first race of the year, which was the actual third race of the season, which was in Bartow off 80-foot road property. I have a reputation for typically getting pretty good starts, so I didn't get a good one on this race and proceeded to fall down, go down in the second turn. Got up way behind the class and thought, well, hey, this is my first race. Let's not do anything crazy. Let's just get a good finish. Let's see where we can go. Long course, 14-mile long course. My real first race on this bike. Wasn't sure about fuel range. But long story short, just kept plugging away, and at the finish, my buddy Pete Rose comes up and tells me, "Hey, man, you won." I'm like, "What? How did I win?" I just remember on the last lap fighting with two guys that I didn't know who they were at the time. I'd never raced with them before. And this is in Silver Master B. Paul Donahue and Ed Higgins. Great battle with those guys. Went right down to the last lap, right at the end. I was able to get by, both those guys, despite having fallen, 4 times during this race, and ended up with the win, which was really surprising. But the unfortunate thing about that is that I ended up hurting my left wrist. It wasn't from one of the falls; it was from the potholes. Anybody who's ridden that property knows how hard it is, and it just hit one of those potholes and it just jammed my wrist. Ended up fighting that through the rest of the season, experimented with bracing and stuff like that. But think I'm all good and healed for this season. So the rest of the season went fairly well. Had some ups and downs. Had some good podium finishes and some good battles with Ed, Wade Stoner, Burt Powell. Unfortunately, Paul ended up getting hurt. He was out for the rest of the season. I can't say enough about the classiness of the Silver Master B class. I mean, great group of guys, John Smoolin and many, many others, and Marty. Great group of guys, always fun to bench race with, always clean riding, very competitive, and just a great class. So ended up the season with second overall in the championships. Ed had us all covered. He won most of the races. Very good, consistent season for Ed. He deserved the win. Congratulations. Unfortunately, he gets bumped down to A class, so he will be in Silver Master A this upcoming season. So, Ed, I know you've been riding a lot in the off season, so keep it up. You're going to need it. So anyway, that takes us into the 2023-24 FTR Hare Scrambles season. Again, I'm just talking about Hare Scrambles. And unfortunately, I've had a setback yet again. Come in every year of racing with plans to be in shape, right? Be ready to go, be ready to be competitive right from the get-go. Unfortunately, I had a garage accident. Yeah, a garage accident. And a long story short, I fell on a piece of sheet metal trying to put insulation up on my garage door, because if you notice behind me, I've got a mini split in the garage now. It's great. I mean, it's wonderful. Ended up falling on that metal, having a very severe laceration on my left leg. Long story short, again, ended up, chipping my shin bone and doing an 8+ inch laceration along my shin up through the inside of my calf. I will show a picture here, but I'm going to warn you before I show the picture. It is graphic. Someone might not want to see it. It does show blood. So we'll do a countdown. You've got 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Here's the picture. So I hope you turned away. Yeah, this is after it's been cleaned up and everything else, and get ready to do a final cleaning to put the stitches in. All right, take the picture away now. So those of you who didn't want to see the gross picture, it's gone. Ended up with 14 stitches. And again, long story short, the recommendation from the doctors, both the emergency doctor and my personal doctor, who had to do a follow-up with, is no riding for at least 8 weeks. And the concern is that the laceration was so long and so deep that they wanted to give it a chance to fully bond and fully heal, rather than risking a chance of it splitting back open. Between wearing the boots and the knee braces and the physical activity of the riding, they were very concerned about splitting that back open. It already it's already not very pretty to look at. Another buddy of mine called me Frankenstein leg, but it's all healed up. I won't be on the bike until the first race of the season, so we'll just have to see how it goes. I'm not expecting much, but I am going to be racing Golden Master B this season. Some of the guys from Silver Master B are moving up as well. Marty, I think John Smoolin's moving up. So, just because you change to a different age group doesn't mean it's easier, because the same fast guys that you were racing with before move up with you, and you're still racing against them again. So looking forward to that little setback. We'll have to just ride ourselves into shape like we've done in the past, and do it just one more time. So with that, let's cover the schedule for this season. It's 10 races. We're fortunate to have 10 races this season. Unfortunately, we did lose 2 events last year. We lost the Big Oak property. They're not going to be doing races there anymore. And we lost Hogwaller up in Palatka. They're not going to be holding FTR races anymore either. But we did have Old School Dirt Riders step up and add a second event to bring us back up to 10. Those of you who have ridden the Punta Gorda race before down at Old School, we race on the west side of the road there. My understanding is that the second race that they're putting on, which is the last race of the season, will be on the east side of the road. I believe they've raced that property years ago, probably when I was out. But my understanding is that they did race that side of the property years ago, so I don't know if they're going to be able to utilize any old trail or all new trail, but if it's been several years, it would have been grown up anyway. So it's good that Old School stepped up to put on another event to bring us to 10 for the season, and really looking forward to that. So I will post right here the schedule. Also, there are 4 Hare Scramble Committee meetings at the events this year. They're held on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. at the FTR trailer where you sign up. I encourage the membership to attend those meetings, if nothing else, just to hear what's going on, to see what's happening. Opportunity to have a voice as well. This is where proposals are made to the Hare Scrambles Committee for future rule changes and that type of thing. So I encourage the membership to attend these meetings. They typically last, half hour to maybe an hour. It's a great opportunity to speak up, be heard. It's also an opportunity to see what goes on behind the scenes as far as making this organization as great as it is, because this is a volunteer organization. There's a lot of love and a lot of passion for those who step up and volunteer, and we'd like to get everybody involved and engaged as much as we can. Join a club, get out there, help put on an event. It's just going to help us be viable for years to come. And with that, we're going to go into, I want to give some acknowledgement for the sponsors that I have for this season. I have several new ones, which I'm excited to announce. As well as I'd like to acknowledge those that have been with me for a while, that are again with me this season. It sure makes it a lot easier to get out there and compete on good equipment, and make it safer. A lot of the equipment that I choose to use, I choose very specifically for safety reasons, and I'll get into those details here shortly. So with that, let's start off with our first sponsor, my first new sponsor this year, and that's 6D Helmets. Okay, getting into my sponsors for this season. Excited to have some new ones, and excited to have some returning ones as well. So we're going to start out with 6D Helmets. I'm happy to announce I'm part of the 6D flight crew now. People are going to say, Sean, we've been wearing a 6D helmet for a few years. Yeah, I have. So let me back up a little bit. I have a history of breaking helmets. I've broken 3 different brands of helmets. I engaged with 6D back in 2013 when they were first coming out. They were sponsored the Geico Honda team, and everyone on that team was wearing 6D helmets. So I reached out to them early on, and naturally they were just getting started, right? They were sponsoring Geico Honda. They were just going into production and so on and so forth. So when they first came out with the ATR1 helmet, they were not in a position to do any kind of support, particularly the amateur level, right? So I went ahead and accepted a sponsorship from a competing brand, and I ended up breaking that helmet in a crash as well. Okay, I had a pretty severe concussion out of that one, and this was a couple of years later. I went ahead and retail purchased an ATR2 when the ATR2 first came out. Okay, got that through Jason Enos. It's at Florida Power Sports. He works us a good deal. So a lot of you are familiar with my neon yellow 6D helmet. Okay, so this is the one that I've been wearing. This is the ATR2. Great helmet. My personal opinion, the 6D helmet is the safest helmet on the market. 6D, when they came out, prior to 6D coming out, all the helmets that you had were EPS foam, right? Different layers of EPS foam. So 6D came out with the omnidirectional system, which is basically shock absorbers. This is my new lid. It's going to be my new one. We're going to switch out of the yellow for a change, and we're going to go something different. So this is my new 6D ATR2 lid. But anyway, getting back to, I credit 6D with the progress that all the other helmet manufacturers have made, because prior to 6D coming out, helmet technology has been stagnant for years. Since then, you've had MIPS come out, Cryos, and you've seen other variations of MIPS come out from other brands, and I applaud those brands for looking at doing something to mitigate head injuries, right? Concussions in particular. A helmet's just one part of that component. So I give credit a lot to 6D. Talking with them this year, they've decided to come on board to support the effort, and I'm very, very happy about that, and I'm very, very thankful. I encourage you, if you're not familiar with the technology in the 6D helmet, I'll include a link below so you can go take a look at it. Again, I've broken 3 different helmet brands. I've had some pretty severe concussions over the year. I need to protect the gray matter as much as I can. So I am taking steps to try to do that. I'm sticking with the 6D brand. I'm glad they're on board to support us this season, and looking forward to great success. All right, so next up is a returning sponsor, X Brand Goggles. I've gone through, kind of like helmets, I've gone through about every brand of goggle, and X Brand just seems to work better for me. They seem to fit my face better. I'm using their premium line, which is the Lucid goggle, which is comparable to the premium of the other brands. It's a great goggle. It fits my face exceptionally well. Very wide, very great peripheral vision. It's got the pre-molded lens, just like the other premium brands do. The roll-off version, extremely large field of view. X Brand is just, I just found that it personally works for my face better. That's the reason I'm stuck with them, and I'm glad to have them returning to support my efforts this season. Thank you, X Brand. Next up is a new product that I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have not even heard of before. And this is put out by Q30. It's called the Q Collar. The Q Collar. Again, I will put a link to this product below, as well as I encourage you to watch the technical videos that they have out on this. What the Q Collar is just an incremental, in my opinion, an incremental step to help safeguard against concussions or repetitive head blows, okay? As I've mentioned, I've broken 3 different brands of helmets. I've had my share of concussions during that time, in addition to playing football as a youth. So the Q Collar, in theory, ensure that you get the correct size, and there's a video on that as well. Is what it does, it puts light pressure right here on your jugular vein. And what it does is it allows the blood to flow up into the head, and it keeps more blood in the head, okay? That surrounds your brain and between your brain and your skull. In a sense, creating more volume of blood between your brain and the skull. So when you have an impact, you have more cushioning. My personal opinion on this is that this technology and this thought and this application is better for repetitive impacts, okay? That's the reason you'll see the football players wearing them. That's the reason you'll see the soccer players wearing them. You'll see the lacrosse players wearing them. Tony Pollard, starting running back for the NFL, for the Dallas Cowboys. Watch him on football. He's wearing one of these, okay? And what it does, the subconcussive level of contact, right? If you're going to have a hard enough impact to where you're going to get concussion, this is probably not going to do much. The 6D helmet's probably not going to do much to stop that from happening, but it will mitigate it to some degree, right? That's the reason I bought the best helmet. That's the reason I'm using the best helmet. That's the reason I'm now investing in and using and collaborating with Q Collar. I believe this is just one more incremental step to help protect my gray matter, right? My father passed away from complications of dementia. I watched his cognitive abilities decline over the years. I'm sure mine have already declined. I don't want to accelerate that anymore. If anything, I want to try to protect it. So I think the combination of the Q Collar and the 6D helmet, with the omnidirectional system in it, and the Q Collar, keeping more blood up inside your head, inside the brain, and the cranium. Even if you just fall over, if you barely clip a tree, not necessarily the the send it full-blown crashes to where guys are tumbling down down the course. Just the repetitive hits that we take that are subconcussive level, not to the level of concussion, adds additional production to your brain. So that's the reason I partnered with Q-Collar. I encourage you to research it on your own. I don't think this is end-all be-all to brain protection, but I think it's an additional step. What does it hurt? Particularly as a parent, my sons played pee-wee football. They got out of it after that. They never got to the level of racing that I did. But if my sons were riding dirt bikes, I would have them in a 60 helmet and I'd have a Q-collar on. Okay? It's just incremental protection. I'm not sure that any of them can prevent concussions completely, but hopefully can mitigate it to some degree. So I encourage you to do the research, take a look at it, and see if it's something you may consider for yourself. And I would really, really strongly, for those of you parents that have young ones riding, really consider going with a Q-collar and a 6D helmet. As you can tell, going through my sponsors from head down, started out with the helmet, went to the goggles, went to the Q-collar, now we're talking about the riding gear. I am excited to announce that I partnered up with Canvas MX, and this is very exciting. You can customize your gear any way that you see fit. Now, at the races, I see many, many trucks out there with their businesses listed on the side. What I don't see a lot of is a lot of racers out there that are racing, that run these businesses, that aren't advertising their business. Why aren't you doing that? Why are you advertising a gear brand, spending your money to advertise a gear brand, versus spending the same amount of money and advertising your brand? I don't get it. So this is one of the things when I was talking to Michael Lee, who's the owner and founder of Canvas MX, former motocross racer. It's like, I don't understand why more of the FTR racers and the families, because it's not just jerseys, it's pants, custom hoodies, t-shirts, polo shirts, and the price, $76 for this custom jersey, okay? You look at any other custom jersey out there, or any other jersey out there, and then they want to charge you, what, 20, 30, even more dollars to put your name and number on the back? You can do anything you want for $76 to a jersey with your logo, company's logos, other brands that are supporting your logos. It's like I've got X brand here, got Dunlop, which I'm jumping ahead, 6D helmets, Recluse, and some causes that I'm all about supporting. This is Let's F Cancer, okay, because my mom passed away of cancer. This is dedicated to my mom. On this side, I don't know if you can see the cartoon here, but that's a screw, an animated screw. Screw dementia, right? My father passed away with complications from dementia. Tribute to my father, okay? My father was in the Army, Army Green, American flag. Gotta have the heart on there for mom, right? So, of course, I've got Moto Words on here, my logo. Got KTM, my brand. The cancer, the dementia, Canvas, which is the Canvas Motocross, which is who makes this gear. And I throw a little credit out to FTR as well. And then again, name and number on the back. So again, those of you that have your own businesses in FTR, or even if you don't have your own business, but you're so supportive of the company that you work for, or maybe the company's helping you out with your racing, give them some props. $76 for a jersey, printed any way that you want it. You can spend hours, believe me, I've done it. These are my custom designs, but you have a design tool on their website, and you can spend a lot of time, and it's a lot of fun, quite frankly. But like I said, instead of spending the same amount of money to advertise a brand of gear, spend the same money, advertise your brand, advertise your company, support your child. Get a t-shirt, made up like a jersey to support your child. Or, have your lady friend or your your companion wear a polo shirt or a t-shirt or a hoodie supporting you in your racing. So I really encourage you to go out and take a look at the Canvas product. This stuff is incredible. I'll show you the pants here. I ordered the blackout jersey and pants because I can't remember another brand when you order black, like you want it just completely black, no logos or anything else. Canvas does that for you. The only logos right there on the belt line on the back. Otherwise, solid black. The jersey is the same way. I know some people like to run no branding or anything else, so the Canvas blackout jersey, extremely light, extremely breathable. They do also offer the big vented jerseys, but when I was talking with Michael, he says these are actually cooler. He says the ones that you see with the big vent holes and stuff, and the big holes, the jersey's heavier and really not quite as durable, but this is more moisture wicking, and when the moisture soaks into it, keeps you cooler. So he's even contemplating just having this as the only product, but you have two choices when you go do a jersey from Canvas. So again, I can't say enough. Michael Lee and his crew over there, they will help you with your design. If you need a proof of it, make sure, because I struggle with getting alignments and things like that, the way I wanted it. They're more than willing to help you out. The only drawback is it takes, probably about 3 or 4 weeks before you get it. So if you're wanting to get your gear going for this season, get on the phone with Michael Lee, get on the Canvas Design Shop and get your gear designed. It's quite reasonable. Like I said, just a regular jersey, have your name printed on the back, and this is all sublimated. This is not going to come off. This is not pressed on. This number is not pressed on. It's part of the jersey. I've had many jerseys, and I've seen a lot of other people too. You get a number, name and number put on after the fact. It peels off after you've washed it a few times. This is not going to peel. Okay? So, thank you, Canvas, for coming on board. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate your support. One additional comment I want to make on the Canvas gear is I'm 5'9", about 178. This is a size large. It's loose, it's not tight. And the reason I've gone with this design and this whole change of gear is I plan to switch to a under jersey protector. I've always been notorious for having the over jersey protector with the big name and number on the back. Well, I'm switching this year to an under jersey protector with a new GoPro setup as well. So you want to you want to check back in. I'll do a little more detail on the GoPro setup with an under the jersey protector, because you remember in the past I used an external battery and then the GoPro attached to the front of my chest protector. So stay tuned and I'll show you the new style, my new plan, and we just need to test it out and make sure it's going to work right. Okay, let's get into the bike stuff. This is a 2023 KTM 300XC TBI. Prior to this bike, I was on 350 4-strokes. Prior to that, I was on a 300 2-stroke as well. Back in 2013, I was on the 2013 300 2-stroke carbureted. And then in 16, I went to the 350 4-stroke. And then in 19, I stuck with the 350 4-stroke. And then in 23, went back to a 300 2-stroke. I can't speak for everybody, I can just speak for me. I grew up riding 2-strokes. This bike suits me so much better than the 350. And I'm not critiquing the 350. The 350 is a great bike. This bike just suits me better. It feels lighter. It feels more nimble. It's got torque out of the yin-yang. It's very linear. The power delivery is very linear, just like my 350 4-stroke was. I really have no critique of this bike. Now, this was a 2023, so I did put a 6500 WP kit in the forks. The 2024s come with the Explorer spring fork. So, you get a 24, you get a spring fork. Now, I must say, I didn't need to put that 6500 kit in here. So for me, the 300 2-stroke, particularly being the TBI, this is the most incredible bike I've ever had, okay? It's really fantastic. It doesn't need much, if anything. The only things that I've done to the bike have simply been for comfort for me. Now let me back up 1 second. I got this bike from Spaceport Cycles, which I now believe is owned by Riva Motorsports, Space Coast. But I do want to give them credit. They jumped through a bunch of hoops for me to get this bike when it first came out, because this was a very high demand bike. It still is to some degree, but they were able to very quickly get me one, and the way they worked with me on the price and the support they give me for parts, I highly recommend them. It's nice to have another player out here supporting the racing, so I give them credit. With that, let's move on to the first, not the first mod, but we'll start like we did with the gear. We'll go from top down. XC Gear Mako 360. I got this on the recommendation of several other guys, but I gotta admit, when I picked up the phone and I called them, the time that they spent with me to get the right color polymers, because there's different color polymers that go in here to make it stiffer or softer. And I believe we've hit the nail on the head here. Between, and I should have probably done both changes at the same time, but between the 6500 insert kit and the Mako 360, I have such a better feeling of the front end of the bike. This adds some comfort to it. I really have no complaints. You see so many people running it, and there's a reason why, even the pro guys. So if you're looking for a little more comfort without having to go with the big heavy alternative handlebars that have connections and stuff to them, really consider looking at the Mako 360 from X-Gear. Highly recommended. Plus you can customize them. You can get them custom engraved with your name. You can get custom colors. You can do all kind of custom stuff. And they're great to work with. They're very helpful on the phone. They're very supportive. So thank you, X-Gear. Moving on, Seat Concept seat. Now I do have to say the 23 seat was very, very good. Probably the best KTM seat I've ever had. But the Seat Concepts just takes it up a notch, right? You got the little bit of a bulge here, which kind of acts like a steg peg. If you've seen guys that ride with steg pegs, I don't think I'm a real fan of those. I haven't ridden with them enough, but you just have one more thing bolted to the outside. But the Seat Concept has a little bit of a flare to it. Seems to do the same thing as far as keeping you when you're standing, gives you a good grip. It's very narrow. I went with the standard height. I didn't go with low and I didn't go with tall. I went with the standard height. I probably should have gone with a lower one because I'm vertically challenged. I'm only 5'9", so I do struggle, particularly on our starts. I need a step to get on the bike for our starts. But Seat Concepts, they've been supporting me for a while. Randy Falls, your personal contact at FTR. He'll take care of you, and if you're nice to him, he might even install it for you. All right. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Seat Concepts. Tires. Tires make a big difference in our racing, right? I've experimented with different brands, but for consistency reasons, I've stuck with Dunlop. Dunlop has supported me for the last couple of years. I thank them very much for their support, and I think they have the best product out there. There's some other good brands out there as well, but as far as overall and what you get for your money, because tires are expensive these days, it's such a great tire. I run the 33 on the front. I run the 81 on the back 90% of the time, but I did spoon on a 14, the scoop tire, and I probably did that prematurely because I did that before I found out that Hogwaller race was going to get dropped from the schedule. Hogwaller, if you haven't been, is a very, very, very sandy course, and I spooned on the new MX-14 specifically for that course. It was supposed to be the second race of the year. And now it's off the schedule. So I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to leave the MX-14 on. I'm going to see how it does at Bartow. Hopefully it won't be too bad. But I typically run the AT81 on the back, and the reason is because there are better tires out there than the AT81, but it's so versatile, and the longevity of that tire is very, very good. When you start to wear down the knobs, take it off, flip it around, put it back on, and get some more time out of it. if you're kind of frugal like I am, and I tend to do that. You won't be able to do that on the MX-14, but you can do that on the AT-81, and it's a tire I highly recommend for a general all-purpose, very good traction in almost every condition. Doesn't excel in any specific one, but it does good in all. So thank you, Dunlop, for supporting me, and looking forward to trying the new 34 on the front, because I've got the 33 on the front right now. One more last shout out to KTM. If you have a later model KTM, and I think they go back 2 years, maybe 3. If you haven't gone on and signed on for KTM Contingency, you're really hurting yourself. It is really nice that we have a manufacturer that supports the amateur level, supports the amateurs at a level of FTR. So those guys who are riding KTMs winning championships, they're getting some serious contingency money. I know some of the other brands do too. I don't know how many of them support FTR to the level that KTM does, but I can tell you it sure is nice at the end of the season that if you have some okay results, you might be able to cover a top end, you might be able to cover some other parts that you need, because you go down to your local KTM dealer. In my case, it would have been Spaceport, now called Riva. And you have a credit that you can apply your credit toward whatever parts that you need. So if you ride a KTM, particularly late model KTM, and you haven't signed up on KTM's website for KTM contingency money, you need to do it. Go do it. You're leaving money on the table if you don't. Thank you, KTM. I also want to thank GoPro for coming back on board this season. This is the new GoPro Hero 12 Black. The brand new GoPro that's out. This one I have outfitted with the Max Lens mod, which will give you 177 degrees of view. Curious to see how that's going to work. But I can imagine people say, Sean, why are you going with another GoPro? Well, the GoPro that I'm recording on right now is a GoPro Hero 10. As you know, we had to run an external battery to get enough time and to keep the camera cool enough so it would not overheat to record a 2-hour FTR Hare Scrambles race. Well, the new 12, depending on resolution, what mode you're doing, will record up to twice as long as the Hero 11. So, as I was talking to GoPro, because I had several conversations with them about what my alternative route was for my 10, to record a whole video. That's the reason we came up with the whole external battery and everything else, and I alluded to that earlier. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be running the new 12 with the Max Lens mod, with the Endura battery on a new mount, because I'm going to be running an under jersey chest protector. So I'm very anxious to see how this is going to work. GoPro, like I said, there would have been no need for me to reach out to GoPro until I saw their assessment that doubled the battery life, okay, doubled the record time. So at 1080p, for example, it's like over 2 hours, quite a bit over 2 hours, and I think even at 4K, it's at least an hour and 45 minutes or something like that. I'll double check it, and I'll find the battery life chart, and I'll post that, and I'll post a link to that as well on the GoPro's support page. So we're going to give the new Hero 12 a try. We're going to do a different setup. It's going to still be on the chest because AMA won't let us put it on the helmet. It's still going to be on the chest, but it's not going to be on a chest protector that's over the jersey. It's going to be on a chest protector that's under the jersey. And if you watch Jesse Ansley's video, you've seen him do that before, right? He's got an under jersey protector, and what's he have to do? He has to cut a hole in his jersey, right? So his GoPro can mount. I think I've got a workable solution where you don't have to cut your jersey, all right? I think it's going to be a very clean setup, and I'm going to try to run this without running the external battery, So a little extra weight, with the external battery, the way I was doing it before. Heavier chest protector I was wearing before. So lighter, leaner, and we'll see if this thing will record a full race. Okay? GoPro, don't let me down.